Good afternoon, Knights. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kayla Lewis, and today is Tuesday, March 7, 2023. Here is your nightly news update. The Florida Association of Broadcast Journalists is awarding people from over 50 television and radio stations. Amongst the finalists was our very own Dylan Lyons, who was nominated. All winners and finalists are expected to be awarded on April 22nd at the annual awards gala. Congratulations to Dylan and everyone who was picked as a finalist. The UCF Experimental Fluid Mechanics Laboratory is studying bird wings to improve the stability of aerial vehicles. Nightly news reporter Melanie Morales tells us more about the gust generator.
Many people who fly know what it's like to have anxiety when there's turbulence. By studying the flexibility of bird wings and how they manipulate air has led a team of UCF researchers to think of ways to manipulate a wing for future aircrafts. Shamik Bhattacharya, an assistant professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, tells us more about the $441,000 three-year grant given by the AFOSR.
Air Force Office of Scientific Research is one of the very few agencies which funds this kind of fundamental research.
The team has been working on this project for about 7 months, but was granted the money back in January. Bhattacharya says the grant allows them to purchase new equipment for the project.
This is a 3D printed morphing wing. With the help of these two motors right here will allow for flexible movement. So this is what it would look like.
The 3D printed wing is towed along a 6-meter-long water tank that performs rapid rotations to generate a vortex. With the help of a UV light, fluorescent dye, and high-speed footage, the team can analyze the development of the vortex created. Benjamin Latrobe, a mechanical engineering graduate student, tells us what caught his attention when he first joined the project.
The idea of better understanding how birds and some aquatic animals navigate in nature and using that to improve the vehicles that we create is very interesting to me.
Latrobe says designing an experimental setup has been the most difficult part. In Orlando, Melanie Morales, UCF Nightly News.
Going forward, the researchers say they expect to have real-world tests to see how the wings will perform on a real flight test. This week makes a decade since a former UCF student planned a mass killing at Tower 1. Reporter Savannah Younger tells us more about that day and how the UCF PD is more prepared.
On March 18th in 2013, a former UCF student, James Sivakamaran, planned a mass attack from his Tower 1 student housing room. Sivakamaran reportedly had hundreds of rounds of ammunition, an assault weapon, homemade explosives, and a to-do list that indicated he had drafted a plan to kill and injure as many UCF students as possible. A timeline provided by UCF shows a fire alarm was pulled, but then turned into a bigger issue. Sergeant Frank Imperato was one of the first responders on the scene.
We got additional information that changed the call for service from a fire alarm to something much more important. At that point, we realized we needed to step up our game and we needed to make sure everybody was safe, which we did.
Sivakamaran was seen by his roommate with a loaded gun. The roommate hid in his room and called 911. Sivakamaran later went into his own room and fatally shot himself in the head. Since the incident, the UCF Police Department has been finding ways to improve how they handle a mass shooting.
After that night, we did make some additional changes, and I'm proud to say, and it's from a medical standpoint, right? We now have IFAC kits with all of our officers and around, bleed control kits around the buildings, things like that we didn't really think about before, but now in today's society, we absolutely have to.
According to the Washington Post, there have been over 300 school shootings in the U.S. since 1999, and students are starting to feel like these shootings will never come to an end.
Recently, another school shooting happened at Michigan State University, leaving 3 students dead. March for Our Lives student activist Olivia Solomon says mass shootings occur too often.
We keep saying every time that, oh, this is going to be the last, this is our warning, this is when we rise, and that's what we stop. March for Our Lives, what we grew out of with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High, but it happens every day.
The best advice UCF PD gives to students is,
if you see something, say something, and the police are going to do something. If the hair's in the back of your neck standing up for a reason, please make sure you alert 911 and alert law enforcement. We're going to come out and we're going to make sure that everything is okay.
In Orlando, Savannah Younger, UCF Nightly News.
To report any suspicious activity or emergencies, you can call 911. The UCF Police Department is also available 24 hours. You can reach them at 407-823-5555. Last week, Nightly News told you about a new bill in the Florida Senate. Senate Bill 542. This bill will require each Florida college system institution and state university to have a supply of emergency opioid antagonists in certain residence halls or dormitory residences for use by campus law enforcement. This bill was filed February 7, 2023, and was on committee agenda on March 2nd. But what is Narcan? Nightly News reporter Erica Brockish tells us how this medicine can save a life.
All are advising if friend took oxycodone and is not breathing, FD has the call.
Narcan is a life-saving drug that can reverse the effects of opioid overdose long enough for a person to receive proper medical attention.
Students can get Nicholson for free here at UCF at Student Health Services. All they have to do is walk into the pharmacy, hand one of the Narcan slips to the pharmacist, and they'll receive it with no questions asked.
Handled like a prescription drug, but without the prescription, and it's free.
The UCF Police Department has carried Narcan since 2015, and every officer goes through training of how to administer the medicine safely.
Having naloxone on hand, very important, vitally important. We've actually saved multiple lives with this medicine because our agency has been able to carry it since 2015.
While all law enforcement officers carry Narcan, anyone can administer the medicine, especially in an emergency. In nearly 40% of overdose deaths, someone else was present per the CDC.
Anybody can administer it, and which is why it's a great idea to have it as in many locations as possible. And it's a very simple thing to administer.
If you are with someone who is overdosing but you're afraid to call for help, there is the Good Samaritan law that will help.
The Good Samaritan law basically ensures that if law enforcement comes on scene and you call because of a medical issue, you're not going to get in trouble for any type of possession. The whole goal is to get that individual the medical help that they need, get them out of that situation, get them to the hospital, and we dispose of all the illicit narcotics.
The first thing you should do in any sort of emergency is call 911. In Orlando, Erica Brockish, UCF Nightly News.
You can get Narcan at the Health Center during the week, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now let's take a look at today's weather forecast. Today's high is 86 degrees with sunny skies and a 9% chance of rain. Tonight, the low is a chilly 66 degrees with a 7% chance of rain, so you may want to grab a heavy coat tonight. Tomorrow's high is 79 degrees with partly to mostly cloudy skies and a 14% chance of rain. That's all the time we have for now. Make sure to keep up with all that's happening throughout the week by following us on Instagram at UCF Nightly News. And check back here tomorrow for another Nightly News update. I'm Kayla Lewis. Thanks for watching and have a great day.